Jay here, Stretford Paddock. Yes, we are live with a bit of breaking news. The news has literally just broken about 10 minutes ago, I think it was. David Ornstein with an exclusive for The Athletic saying that Erik ten Hag is to stay as Manchester United manager. So we're going to get into all that. Make sure you are getting involved in the chat and the comments. I mean, this is like, when I say it's breaking news, I've literally just seen it myself. So I saw this news like 10 minutes ago. So like, quick, let's go live. Let's get into the chat. Looks like Erik ten Hag is going to stay as the Manchester United manager. Anyone that watches the channel knows that myself and pretty much everyone on the channel, the main presenters, wanted him to stay. I'm buzzing that looks like the case, but we'll get into the nitty-gritty of just how this has gone about, because we've had a lot going on, haven't we, at Manchester United over the last few days. We've had reports that we've been interviewing this candidate, that candidate. At one point, it looked like it was going to be Tuchel, then it was going to be it looked like it was going to be Kieran McKenna, then it was going to be Tuchel, then it was none of them, then maybe Poch, then it wasn't going to be him. Today we were hearing about Thomas Frank, but it looks like Erik ten Hag is going to stay. So let's have a look at what Ornstein is saying. Make sure that you do hit that like, share, and subscribe button. So I'll go to his tweet and then I'll do the article in The Athletic. So exclusive. And let's not forget, right? David Ornstein is tier one. To some people, he's the tier one of the tier ones. People put him above Fabrizio Romano. That's a different debate for another day. But he's as good as it gets, basically, David Ornstein. Whether you think Romano's better or not, it's irrelevant. He is at the very top tier, David Ornstein. So when he says something, you know it's true. So he says Erik ten Hag to stay as Manchester United manager. Man United end of season review culminated with decision to keep 54-year-old in position. After talks today, Dutchman will remain at Old Trafford and hold negotiations over contract extension. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because he's not just going to keep his job for the time being. It looks like he's going to get a contract extension now. I know Ronaldo Brown in particular has been talking about this quite a lot on the channel, saying that, look, you can't just keep him without giving him an extension. People saying, oh, you can just sort of leave him to it because he's still the manager. If he's the manager for the next sort of 10 months or whatever, he's on a bit of a hiding to nothing. He needs to be told, or he needs to know that he's going to be here for a bit longer than that. So it looks like he's going to get a bit of a contract extension. I know that light is a little bit bright there. Forgive me. So I'll get into it anyway, because that's the tweet. Let's have a look at what the actual article in The Athletic says. So it says here, Erik ten Hag will stay as Manchester United manager after the club's end-of-season review culminated in a decision to keep the Dutchman, and he has agreed to remain at Old Trafford. Following a period of major uncertainty over ten Hag's future, United held talks with the 54-year-old on Tuesday, and the preference of both parties was for his tenure to continue. Ten Hag's existing United contract runs until next June, with an option to prolong by 12 months, and they will now enter negotiations about extending those terms. After winning the FA Cup last month, defeating City at Wembley, The Athletic reported the club were due to conduct a review of the 23-24 campaign, including the performance of Ten Hag. In case a change in the dugout was to be made, United had sounded out potential replacements, including Thomas Tuchel, Roberto De Zerbi, Mauricio Pochettino, Thomas Frank, and Kieran McKenna. But at the end of the process, led by Jim Ratcliffe and Dave Brailsford, the choice was made to move forward with Ten Hag. Get involved in the comments and the chat. Let me know what you think about this, because I've sort of nailed my colours to the mast over the last few weeks. Before the FA Cup final, I said I wanted Erik ten Hag to stay. I certainly wasn't going to change my mind after he beat Manchester City in the FA Cup final. I'm glad about this. I'm actually buzzing. But I want to know what you guys think. Are you happy? Did you want him to stay? Did you want him to go? What do you think this means now moving forward? So loads of people in the chat. Let's have a look at what people are saying. Joshua Bowater says, if he doesn't start his first presser of the season with still here, hey, I'll be very disappointed. So happy he's staying. Arrow says, we're on the march with Ten Hag's army. I'm chuffed, says Habiba Rahman. Best decision we made. Thomas Collins says, yes, United. Look at the performance. Sorry, I'm just trying to see that. Sorry, the comments are coming thick and fast. I was trying to see what that last comment was there. Let me know what you're saying anyway. Make sure as well you are hitting that like button, people. Hit the like and subscribe if you're not doing already, because we've got to 750,000 subscribers. We want to get to more. Manchester Maverick says, Ornstein in The Athletic, first tweet about the whole manager situation, and it's the truth, and none of this silly Bullshit. We've been hearing off these knobheads who never report on United. Someone else said as well, Jason Steinberg, Jason Sanchez, Jacob, is it Steinberg, who said he was going to get sacked after the FA Cup final. I think that was in The Guardian. That's obviously not the case. He's staying. Gary Beattie says, finally, a decision made, apparently. Lol. Drew Dennis says, King Motti. I like that one. There's a good question here. Sorry. PP says, new contract. Thoughts? Premature, I think. What do you think about this? Him getting a new contract. Does that make sense to you guys? Let me know what you think, because some of the thinking was, well, you don't have to give him a new contract. Just keep him on the contract he's on to the end of the season. But then others were saying, rightly so, in my opinion, like, well, if you just keep him to the end of the season, everyone knows he's leaving at the end of the season, or he feels under pressure that, if he goes on like a little bit of a bad run, well, my contract's up at the end of the season, they might just get rid of me now. Doesn't really back him. What you needed to do is either sack him or back him. And I agree with that idea. You either get rid of him, which I didn't want the club to do, or you back him and you give him an extension. So it looks like the club have gone with the latter, going with an extension. Who just joined us, David Ornstein, breaking that news that Erik ten Hag is going to stay as Manchester United manager. The club have decided after their end of season review they want to stick with him, and not only that, they actually want to give him like he's going to be for a bit of association. Have a look at some of the here. O'Hanlon 86 says, who's been a member of the first team for 18 months. I'm so relieved, Jay. Genuinely worried so much that they'd sack him. I'm actually a bit emotional. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I wanted Erik ten Hag to stay before the FA Cup final. Had we lost that final, I still thought he should have stayed. After that final, I couldn't have been more ten Hag in if I tried. I was absolutely raging at the idea of getting rid of him. I know the league form has been poor. There's no point in denying it. But he's delivered 2 trophies in 2 seasons. We know when he's got players fit what he's capable of. This is a manager who, when he's had a fit squad, has beaten Manchester City on more than one occasion, Arsenal, Liverpool, Barcelona. He's beat big teams and good teams when he's got players fit. Even when he's been missing a few players, he's still managed to get some results. Now, in the league this season, United have been a shambles, but there's enough there for me, personally, I think, for the club to go, look, back-to-back trophies, the first time since, 2011 that we've done that with the same manager. I know we did it 16, 17, but that was with 2 different managers. The fact that for the first season we finished 3rd and got a trophy, beat a lot of teams at Old Trafford, turned it into a bit of a fortress. The second season, you won the FA Cup, and because of that, you end up in the Europa League as well. I think he's done enough to stay. Let me know what you think. We know we've got him staying now. Do you agree with that decision? Are you happy with that decision? Is there anyone out there who's like, you know what, this is a mistake, this shouldn't have happened, well, we should have gone out there and got someone else? If you do think we should have got someone else, who should it be? I wanted to see this manager being given a chance under the INEOS regime. I think the biggest criticism you can have of Erik ten Hag, one of the biggest criticisms, is sometimes he's misspent money. He's perhaps gone for players when he shouldn't have gone for them because the price was too high. The obvious one being Antony. Well, with INEOS, that shouldn't happen. We should have a structure in place where you go, there's a limit to how much you're going to pay for a certain player, and if it's too much, you move on and we're going to have other targets. I think that could actually help Erik ten Hag rather than this free-for-all we seem to have been doing, where it's like, what do you want, Antony? Yeah, 80 million, sack it, we'll get him. Darren Nightingale says, pre-season starts now. Eric's red and white army. Hit that like button, please, people. Forgive me. I'm just having a quick Pepsi Max cherry. Other drinks are available. We're not sponsored. Timothy says, cannot fucking believe it. Was anyone faltering here? Was anyone beginning to think that Erik ten Hag was done? Because I was. I'll be honest with you. The amount of time it was taking, the fact that you keep hearing these reports that, we spoke to Tuchel, we spoke to Pochettino, or we spoke to Kieran McKenna, or we're sounding out this manager, we're sounding out that manager. I thought he was done. I really did. Hugh Grant, I don't know if that's the actor, the actual Hugh Grant, it might be, says, so he's been a member of the academy or a member of the first team for 25 months, says, so glad ten Hag is staying, hashtag up the paddock. Daniel C says, deserves it, to be fair. You can see what can happen with first choice defenders in the cup final. I agree. Lauren Rose with a super chat. I don't think there's anything on it. Sam Z makes a good point. Just the idea of Southgate made me Erik ten Hag in. I think a lot of people who weren't backing Erik ten Hag still, disgusting, still preferred him over Gareth Southgate. Scotty, who I do Scotty and Motty with, He thought it was time for Erik ten Hag to move on. He wasn't impressed with his league performance, and I kind of understood it, even though I didn't agree with it. But he was saying, look, if it's a choice between Erik ten Hag and Gareth Southgate, I'll have Erik ten Hag every day of the week and twice on a Sunday. Akash K has been a member for 4 months. Says, I did tell you, Jay, never in doubt. I think you did. I think a lot of people did, but you were one of them. Lauren Rose says, I'm thrilled he's staying, but the league performances have to improve. She's been a member of the she's been a member, sorry, for 15 months. No, I agree. I get that. I don't think we need to be silly about that. You say, look, yes, I'm glad he's staying. Yes, it's a good thing that he's staying. If that's the way you think, that's certainly what I think. He deserves his opportunity, but Manchester United have to improve our league form. Our league form has not been good enough. I don't think there's any point in being silly about it or pretending that it has been. It has been a little bit, well, not a little bit erratic. It's been very erratic. And we've just had our worst league finish ever in the Premier League, finished 8th. Not acceptable. We need to build on that. We need to improve on it, not build on it. We need to massively improve. I'm hoping when you get the likes of Lisandro Martinez back in that team regularly, if we go out and we buy a new centre-back in the summer, hopefully get a new CDM in. Kobbie Mainoo starts the season, because let's not forget he missed a big chunk of the beginning of the season. Luke Shaw is obviously fit, well, almost fit, I think, for England. Hopefully he can get him back in the team. Then we might give ourselves a fighting chance of challenging near the top end of the table. I don't expect a title challenge, but I certainly expect Manchester United to do better than we did last season. And I certainly expect us to be challenging for those Champions League places. We need to see Manchester United back in the Champions League. It's absolutely ludicrous the amount of times we've not been in the Champions League post Sir Alex Ferguson. Just used to take it for granted, didn't you? Take it for granted that you're always going to be in the Champions League. When Fergie was the manager, it wasn't even a consideration for me. And now it's like, it's a bonus if we're in the Champions League. It's disgusting. Make sure you hit that like button, please, people. 3,000 people watching. We want to get, I don't even know how many likes I've got. I'm just going to go through some of the comments as well. Loads of people commenting. Make sure you are getting involved. Getting involved in the chat and the comments, man. I want to hear what you guys have got to say. I want to hear what you guys think. Billy Foreman says, back the ball, Messiah. Chris Struder says, 21 is coming. Liam Suter says, taxed it for Jacob Steinberg. Yeah, Jacob Steinberg's the kid who said that, from The Guardian, that said that he was going to get sacked. Erik ten Hag was going to get sacked after the FA Cup final, regardless of the result. He was going to get sacked anyway. Obviously, that isn't the case. He's still in his job, and now looks like he's going to get a contract extension from a very reliable source as well. Let's not forget, with David Ornstein. You don't get much more reliable than that. If David Ornstein does an article in The Athletic saying that Erik ten Hag is going to stay at Manchester United, I believe him. I don't think there's any reason to doubt that whatsoever. I think that is as gospel as you can get. So it looks like Erik ten Hag is going to be the manager next season, and he's going to have a contract extension, you'd think. Billy Red, says, effing mint. He says fucking mint. I think we can swear. Tom Mills said, the media looks stupid right now. Jacob Steinberg in the mud. He's getting a lot of grief. Unpopular Truth says, Gary Lineker needs to apologise. I don't quite know what's gone on there. I forget what's been said, to be honest with you. Maybe it was after that that interview that he gave him at the end of the FA Cup final. I thought him and Alan Shearer were particularly harsh on Erik ten Hag when they interviewed him after he just beaten Manchester City in an FA Cup final, just lifted the trophy, and they were going on like, well, where was this performance all season? Why couldn't you do this all the time? And he had to explain it to him, didn't he? He said, look, we've got injuries, and I've said that all the time. When I've got players available, this is what I'm capable of. This is what this team's capable of. But when you miss players, the team's going to suffer. I think that's a given. And I think that someone like Lisandro Martinez, for example, is essential to Erik ten Hag's team. Now, some people may look at that and go, you shouldn't be reliant on one player. Well, you shouldn't, but we are. And also, let's not forget, other successful teams are very reliant on one or two players. Manchester City, right, who were the sort of team that everyone looked up to, and certainly not morally, but in terms of where they are in the league, obviously won 4 in a row and all that. They had Rodri suspended for 3 games last season, and they lost all 3. All 3 games. That's how reliant they are on him. Liverpool, when they lost Virgil van Dijk, the wheels came off. Arsenal, when they lost William Saliba, the wheels came off. It happens. Sometimes you do become reliant on a player. And I feel there's a little bit of that with Lisandro Martinez. Yes, we should be able to cope without him, but when we've got him, we're a much better team. And I think when you lose him and Luke Shaw as well, who can also fill in for him at that left centre-back position, then you're on a bit of a hide into nothing. D. Trizzy says, so 4 losses by November, sacked, pressure on. Any more says Bruno next. Yeah, there's been a bit of speculation, hasn't there, about Bruno Fernandes. You'd think he'd stay. I think there was some talk of he wanted to know what was going to happen with the manager before he was willing to commit. Although it's a bit vague with Bruno because there was these reports he's been offered to Bayern Munich and Barcelona and all these other clubs. Then he was sort of intimating that he was going to stay at Manchester United. He was happy to stay at Manchester United. Then there was other reports that he was going to waiting to see what has happened with the manager and he wanted reassurances. Then, yeah, it looks like now, hopefully, he should stay. Pete, who's been a member for 21 months, says, happy staying, but I can't forget some of the Joss performances. The real work starts now for Ten Hag. Forgive me, I needed a drink. I'm so excited. A drink of Pepsi Max Cherry, by the way. Keith Kelly says, Jadon Sancho must be raging. Haha. Big Chopper 1701. Says, IJ, I'm buzzing he's been backed. Oh, God, I've lost that now. Backed him from day one. Akash K says, Jay, has Erik Ten Hag accepted reduced powers? Right, if you're just joining us, because a lot of you are, let's just have a little bit of a recap, yeah? And if you've been around, get involved in the chat and the comments. Let's keep the conversation going. But basically, David Ornstein, sorry, just messages flying in. David Ornstein says that basically he did a tweet saying that Erik Ten Hag will stay at Manchester United as Manchester United manager after the club's end of season review culminated in a decision to keep the Dutchman, and he has agreed to remain at Old Trafford following a period of major. Sorry, it's all that fizzy pop. Following a period of major uncertainty over Ten Hag's future, United held talks with the 54-year-old on Tuesday, and the preference of both parties was for his tenure to continue. Ten Hag's existing contract runs until next June, with an option to prolong by 12 months, and they will now enter negotiations about extending those terms. After winning the FA Cup last month, defeating City at Wembley Stadium, The Athletic reported that the club were due to conduct a review of the 23-24 campaign, including the performance of Ten Hag. In case a change in the dugout was to be made, United had sounded out potential replacements, including Thomas Tuchel, Roberto De Zerbi, Mauricio Pochettino, Thomas Frank, Kieran McKenna. But at the end of the process, led by United co-owner Jim Ratcliffe and Sir David Brailsford, the choice was made to move forward with Ten Hag. Then goes on to say, the build-up to the FA Cup final was largely overshadowed by speculation about his position, with the manager admitting afterwards that he didn't know if it was to be his last match in charge off the back of what he called a rubbish campaign. United recorded their lowest finishing position in the Premier League era, 8th, with their points total of 60, only 2 better than their worst tally since the competition began in 1992. The goal difference of -1 was the wrong side of 0 for the first time in 34 years. They also exited the Champions League in the group stage. I mean, I'm reading all this out. You may think, why have we extended his deal? Or why have we kept him, finishing bottom of the group, and went out of the Carabao Cup in the 4th round before victory at Wembley ensured they avoided missing out on European football altogether. After INEOS minority investment in the club was confirmed in February, Ratcliffe emphasised the importance of having to walk to the right solution, not run to the wrong one. The new football operations hierarchy have already made a number of changes in the football structure at Old Trafford, with Omar Barada of Manchester City set to arrive as the new club's chief executive in July. They also look set to bring in Dan Ashworth from Newcastle as their new sporting director, while they've recruited Jason Wilcox as the club's technical director. The FA Cup was the second trophy in as many seasons for Ten Hag since being appointed as United manager in 2022. In his first season, Ten Hag finished 3rd in the Premier League and won the Carabao Cup, while United also reached the FA Cup final where they were beating City. 2 trophies in 2 years is not bad. 3 finals in 2 years is not bad. He said, if they don't want me, then I will go somewhere else to win trophies, because that is what I do. He was a little bit defiant, wasn't he, after the game at Wembley, as you'd expect him to be. And fair play to him, man. He sort of said, if you don't want me, I'll go somewhere else where I win trophies. And he does win trophies. He won trophies at Ajax. He won a lot of them. And he's won 2 trophies in 2 years at Manchester United. And you know what? Fair play to him. I'm glad he's staying. I'm actually buzzing he's staying. It's what I was hoping for, to be honest with you. And I know there's some people that don't rate Erik Ten Hag and look at that league performance, and I get it. But look at some of the names as well that were being suggested. Gareth Southgate. Thomas Frank, decent manager. Brentford have finished 16th. It's decent for them with the resources they've got and the fact they have Diamond Tony missing for half the season. But does that make you ready to come in as Manchester United manager? I'm not sure. Ross Murphy says, fair play for Ten Hag to standing up and saying that. Someone said he's taking a backseat on the transfer, says Mick Holohan. Manchester Maverick says hearing Greenwood is it's of Juve is close. I don't know about that. We'll keep you updated if we hear anything about that. Oh yeah, someone else. Horizon says, Jay, have you seen the Greenwood news? Agreed terms with Juve. They start bidding at 30 million and bonuses according to Di Marzio. Di Marzio's making a bit of a comeback this summer, isn't he? Also, what have we got here? Happy it's sorted, says Jasmine, but he's still not the right man. Some subs and decision have been amateurish. Any top manager should be able to have a tune out of these players. FA Cup aside, it's been dire. Vishal G, welcome to the first team. Thank you for joining the membership. Make sure you go and check out the extra content on the members section as well. We've got extra videos there. I think me and Joe just did a video the other day talking about United players who played for England under Gareth Southgate. We were talking with a review that maybe he might be the United manager. Neither of us wanted that, by the way, but that's definitely not going to happen because Erik Ten Hag is going to be the Manchester United manager. Steve Arito says, Erik Ten Hag in, bring back Greenwood. I don't think that's going to happen. From what we gather from some of what you lot are saying is that it looks like Mason Greenwood is going to go to Juventus. PJ Kernan says, Jay, 2 trophies in 2 seasons, especially the masterclass over Pep last month when no one gave him a chance. Think he should have been backed before now. Steve Arito says, Erik Ten Hag. Oh, sorry, I've read that one. It's already done. It says, get in. NT says, can't wait to hear the end of Greenwood. Rupinder Athwal says, Erik Ten Hag smoking a spliff on the beach tonight. Perhaps he is, I don't know. I think he's back from his holidays, isn't he? Maybe he's gone to the beach and, near Manchester. More Blackpool, I think, is the nearest one, isn't it? Craig McPeak says, if we had got rid of Erik Ten Hag and got Southgate, my season ticket would have gone in the bin. I know what you mean, bro. I was struggling with that one. I always want to get behind the team and get behind the manager, but Gareth Southgate would have been a difficult one. Glenn F says, Jay, buzzing too. I hope you're just on the cherry coke. Sorry, I've lost that one. The way you are, well, look off it. No, there's always one in there. Dan Burgess says he's definitely a pina colada guy. Gordy B66 says media making up Greenwood to Juve stories like Erik Ten Hag post FA Cup stories. Greenwood coming home. Someone else said that. Ian Carr says, Jay, you always fancied him to stay. I did. I wanted him to stay. I said that before the final. And like you say, you're not going to change your mind after we beat Manchester City in the FA Cup final and post the FA Cup final. I walked across broken glass to keep Erik Ten Hag at Manchester United. I thought, you know what? How I felt after that game was just unbelievable. I felt unreal. It was one of the best feelings. I've had 2 of the best feelings, right? I'll be honest with you. As a United fan, ever have come on Erik Ten Hag's watch. And that might sound melodramatic. I've been, been a United fan as long as a lot of you guys have put in the chat as well. I'm not saying I've been a United fan long. I've just been alive for longer. I've been a United fan for over 4 years. I've been going to games for 4 years. Not that means everything, but I've had a lot of good experiences at the football when I've been at the match. And that game against Liverpool, that quarter-final win, and that game against Manchester City, that final win, genuinely was 2 of the best feelings I've had as a Manchester United fan. And I've seen us win Champions Leagues and Europa Leagues and Premier Leagues and 3 in a row, all that jazz. But it was mint. It was absolutely mint. That doesn't mean he's been perfect. He hasn't, because, seeing us lose at home to Bournemouth and Fulham and all the rest of it was shambolic. But we've had some heights with this manager. And when he's got players available, he showed that he can get this dressing room behind him. And that's what you want. When you see that the dressing room is still with a manager, there's reason to believe in him. When you see when he's got all his players available, he can get results. There's a reason to believe in him. It's when he's got his players available and he's still losing. That's when you start worrying. It's when the players have stopped playing for him. That's when you start worrying. And the players hadn't stopped playing for him. And when he had players available, he got results. So there's every reason to think that this manager can be the right one. Reese Grundy says, love you, Jay, you legend. Right back at you, my brother. Say no to Meta. Says, Marcus, have some balls and make sure you come back to eat humble pie when we have a full squad and near 8th. I don't know what that means. I'm thinking it means that he's talking a little bit about what he's acted or whatever. We have to be, some people not having it. Ahmed Kamal says, we have to be honest. Erik Ten Hag has been shit most of the season with his piss poor tactics and shite team selection. I don't want to admit that. I think he's made a lot of mistakes, but I think you can't just ignore winning the FA Cup and beating Liverpool, ruining their sort of quadruple hopes and Klopp's farewell tour, and stopping Manchester City winning the football, and more importantly, winning the FA Cup yourself. I don't think you just ignore that. Yes, there's been a lot of poor performances in the league, but we've also won a trophy, and we've won it in style, beating our two biggest rivals along the way. Liverpool and City are our main rivals. Unless you could have beat Leeds as well in that cup run, it couldn't have got much better. Um, Let me know what you think anyway. Make sure you are hitting that like button as well, please, people, because I don't know how many likes we've got. It says here that can't be right. Is it? I can't. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a stinker. I'm trying to do this from home. I'm getting all giddy. I'm all confused. I've had loads of Pepsi Max cherry. It's all happening. Erik Ten Hag staying. It's what I've been crying out for. I thought he was going to go. I thought we were done. I thought this was the end. I thought we were going to end up with Gareth Southgate in his waistcoat or something like that, and I was going to have to give up my season ticket or find a new job because I didn't want to talk about Manchester United with Gareth Southgate running the club. But no, Erik Ten Hag is going to stay. Listen, hit that like button, people. Yeah, we've got to 1,000 likes. Heaven souls, there's almost 1,000 likes. We've got there. Danny Wild says, great news. Now get players in early. Get them to America. Jobs are good. Yeah, get the right players in for him. That's what we need now. And get to America. We're going to be there in America. I'm looking forward to it. Make sure you come and join us. I'll name this podcast later as gifted one straight for product membership. Charlie Brown says, can you do a recap, please? Yep, just before wrap up. David Ornstein in the Athletic, exclusive. Erik Ten Hag is going to stay as Manchester United manager. The club have done their review, end of season review, and have decided to stick with the manager. He's now going to have negotiations regarding a contract extension. But Erik Ten Hag is going to be in that dugout as the Manchester United manager at the start of next season. And I, for one, am very happy about that. Jack says 21 is coming with 115 points. Alan Perry says, J. Cherry Coke forever. Sam 28 says, great decision. The ball is now in INEOS' court. If they don't back him properly, then we're back to square one. I agree. Back this manager properly. You've got him in the job. You're keeping him in the job. There's talk of an extension. Now make sure you back him. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. Going to be back in the morning, so we'll have some more updates, some more reaction as well. I'll be here at 10:30 in the morning live. Well, not. I don't think it's live. We'll do a pre-record. But it'll be out in the morning anyway. We'll do a little recap on what's going on. I've been Jay Motti. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.